Friends, Joe Lynch here from the Logistics of Logistics, but today I am at Manifest talking right now with my friend Spencer Tenney. Spencer, please introduce yourself and your company and where you normally reside.
Spencer Tenney, CEO of the Tenney Group out of Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville. Tenney Group, we're an M&A advisory firm that's dedicated to the transportation logistics space since 1973. Most of what we're specializing is just helping buyers and sellers get deals done in that kind of $5 to $25 million EBITDA range, and just love helping folks maximize their outcomes.
Yeah. So we were standing out here, it was a little loud, it's a bar Mia inside up there, it's got even louder. We were talking about your business, and you guys said with the new changes in Washington that you anticipate more activity in the mergers acquisition space. Please elaborate.
Yeah, well, whether you're on the Trump train or not, I think the general sentiment that we're hearing is that people feel more confident putting capital to work. And I think in general, with the freight market stabilizing, sellers are getting more comfortable with what the market can make available.
It's not all about Trump. It's just that we have a market that changes all the time.
There's a lot of variables to it, and I think we're coming into a phase where, just compared to where we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, much more stable conditions for people to do what they want strategically through M&A. So I think we're going to see a lot of what should have happened in the last 2 years roll forward, and it's going to be a pretty big 2025.
Well, yeah, money was not easy to come by for a lot of companies either, so it was not always a good time to buy or sell. So do you represent the buyers or do you represent the sellers?
About 80% of our practice is focused on seller representation, and about 20% is on the buy side. And I think that's where our heart is. I think most of what we do is helping sellers maximize their exit. But sometimes buyers, very capable folks, they have holes in their strategy or gaps, and they tap us in to kind of help round that out so that they can get the best deals possible.
So what do you guys do? Why do I need you if I want to sell my business?
Well, I think that selling a business typically for a lot of these folks is the largest financial event of their lifetime. There's a host of complexities. So number one, we want to make sure that we protect confidentiality. We want to develop a sale narrative and a sales strategy that is going to allow the seller to maximize value. Owners are typically great at owning businesses, but they don't typically represent themselves in the best way. And so what we're trying to do is bring that sophistication so they get what they deserve from their exit. And so I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, and I think what I learned from talking to you a few times on my podcast and your podcast was that first off, you can't necessarily represent yourself correctly. It's the only time you're going to sell a company in most cases. But also, this is not an overnight process. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to sell my business and I'm going to have to be flush with cash in 6 weeks. This is years. Am I right to say that?
No, I think so much of it just starts with education. When you understand how companies are valued and why, what are the buyer types, and then how that aligns with your specific goals, well, then you can start making and taking action around creating an outcome that will align with those things. And I think that's where we try to really encourage people to stay educated and stay agile, because this industry changes all the time. But if you're educated, you're going to be in a position to make sure that you can accomplish your goals.
Yeah, and I think there's a sense that, I have a problem, I can sell my business and someone else will fix it. You have an extra terminal that you're not using and you don't have the heart to close it. Spencer's going to tell you to close it and sell it right now, because it's dragging down the price you're going to get paid for your business. If you don't want to fire your brother-in-law who does nothing to your business, you have to do that.
You said that, Joe. You said that, not me.
Well, the point is, I think you have to spruce your company up, and that might take 18 months.
Yeah, I think that, well, my hope for business owners is that you're always looking at your business, it's always for sale. And if you're thinking about it from that lens, even if you never sell it, if you are approaching and you're creating value and you're protecting that way, the business you own is going to be much more enjoyable to own. And I think that, and you could own it forever. So I think if you manage it in a way and you steward it in a way that it's always for sale and you're always trying to maximize value, you may never have to sell it because it creates so much benefits for you. You don't want to.
I've done a lot of interviews at Manifest, and consolidation comes up over and over again. And I think for a lot of different reasons, but but I've heard a new one, and I believe there might be a lot of companies in the freight brokerage space that are not meeting the cybersecurity needs of big shippers. And I think if you can't spend to become that rock solid partner, it's maybe time to sell.
Well, I think there's a host of different reasons why people, because of cost constraints, why they might be not, meeting the standards of their shippers. But I think the real issue is, this is a very wonderful but very unforgiving industry. And if you're not capable or willing to meet the demands of this industry, then I think it's either time to partner with someone else who is willing, or just take the chips totally off the table.
Well, yeah, you get older, the idea where you say, yeah, we got to spend $1 million on tech. You're like, how about I spend $1 million on my lake house?
That's right. That's right. And I think that, obviously there's hundreds of companies that are more than willing to do that. But if you're not, I think the trickle down effect of that is, if you're not innovating, if you're not investing, you're not going to be able to keep the best and the brightest talent to move the business forward. Just none of it really works.
So what has interested you the most here at Manifest?
Well, I think I've heard more about AI than I ever want to hear about, but I'm fascinated. I think there is so much emerging technology in this space. I think we talked about consolidation. I think ultimately, as the market stabilizes, we're going to see who the true winners are in the freight tech space, and I can't wait to see it, because I think once there's enough critical mass from some of these technologies, I think you're going to see the industry as a whole really grow.
Yep. So what is your podcast while we're talking?
Podcast In the Hot Seat with the Tenney Group, and what we're trying to do is take subject matter experts from across the transportation industry spectrum, where their work intersects M&A, and just find out how to bring more value, more education back to listeners.
Now, I know that's on YouTube. Is it also on all the podcasts?
It sure is.
I love it. I love it. I always say it. There used to be podcasters and YouTube guys. Now we're one and the same.
That's right. That's right.
So one last time, what does the Tenney Group do?
So we are M&A advisors. We specialize in helping companies either exit or to buy other or acquire in this space. We've been doing it since 1973. So if you're looking to plan or to maximize an exit, that's what we do.
It's always a pleasure, old friend.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good time at Manifest.
Thanks, Jeff.